Um, but yeah, no. Do you want to start just us talking shit about Neil Gaiman? I
Should
feel like
we?
it's going to be an evergreen thing at this point anyway. You can't have 28 allegations against you with it not having a degree of truth to it.
Wait
Trust
till you
me.
get to 30. It's
To
the
get to 30.
number. Yeah. Don't ask how I know that. I just know that.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Smark Avengers.
28 won't stick, baby. 28 won't stick. 30, that's a rough one to
You
walk
know,
back from.
there's some more truth that than you would think because there is a football player in America who had 24 allegations of sexual misconduct involving massage parlors and massage therapists. 24, and like, you know what? There are people out there who still will weirdly defend him, but if he gets up to 30, then you know.
Boys will be boys.
Yep. Speaking of boys being boys, we're the boys of the Smark Avengers, and we're here. Hi.
I
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Corey, and with me is Dylan and John. Welcome to the Smark Avengers. And guys, how has the week been?
great.
It's been a
Yeah, I'd say average.
it's been
Good.
having an average July week because it's July.
Picking it. Yeah, well, I usually have a great July. So now that I remember that it's July, I'm having a great time.
So this is our follow-up to our last episode. So if you have not listened to last week's episode, do not let the title of it dissuade you. Yes, we were mainly talking about biography comics and the works of the Tidal Wave Productions company, but we ended the episode with the premise for this week's episode, where we spun a magical wheel that gave us three villains of very low notoriety that was our responsibility to fix. John, Dylan, were you ultimately finding yourself satisfied with your list of villains that you had to redeem?
Kind of. I was a little annoyed that I myself had put Water Wizard and Jester on the list and then ended up with both of them.
Hoisted.
That kind of backfired. Hoisted. My petard was through the roof. Um, because I really wanted somebody else to get Water Wizard, but I thought, hey, I can make the best of a bad situation. This will be easy. You know.
And
What's funny is Grizzly. I didn't pick the Grizzly. I think John's pick was the Grizzly. I thought the Grizzly for me was the easiest one to write. Like it just,
Mm.
it was a piece of piss, man. It's
so,
so easy.
John, you were not here to spin the wheel with us, and how alarming was it to see three names sent to you that said your job is to fix these guys?
I mean, I think one of the names I was like, okay, that could be fun to try and make him a bit serious. And then another, I was like, this is a bit more challenging. And then the third one was just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like,
Was
what's his
that
powers?
Zeppelin?
Who is he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
no spoilers, but oh my God, what the fuck?
I feel like we can
good.
spoil it since if they watched last week, they know who we got picked. So, Dylan, do you want to run down who our obligated villains are?
Yeah. So we wanted to pick three villains each because we, depending on time, we're gonna do at least two of them, and then a
Yep.
third bonus one if we don't run out of
We'll
time.
have a lightning round if that's
So
the case.
yeah. So Corey's picks are the Swarm, the Hippo, and Metalhead. My picks were Water Wizard, Jester, and the Grizzly. John got Doctor Bong, Built-Man, and Zebra Man, or Zebra Man if you come from the United States of America.
Yes. Or Australia, I've learned. They also pronounce it with a Z and not a Z.
Well,
Weird.
that's incorrect.
What are you gonna do? All right, so yeah, premise is simple enough. Had to basically find a way to take these very traditionally low-level villains and turn them around, make them more serious threats, present them in new and more interesting ways, and we're gonna go around the horn and figure out, did we accomplish such task? So we kept it kind of loose on what the actual assignment was and kind of left it up for interpretation. So we will have varying degrees of detail or example of what we're doing, I'm sure. But does anybody want to go first, or are we going to go at random? Like what?
The wheel.
Spin the wheel?
Yeah,
I do not have a wheel prepared at this time.
shoddy workmanship.
Do you want to do alphabetical and do Dylan, me, and then John, like we did last week,
We
where you
did
pointed
this
out that I forgot what order my name fell in?
correct.
Thank you. All right, well,
You want to go first then?
yeah, I'll do alphabetical. I'll break the alphabet and go first. Much like last week, where I was convinced that your name started with a B for some reason. That silent B in Dylan.
B and D sound similar, so
They really do. They're just facing opposite directions, like they had a bad fight. All right, so who was my first villain that I drew? Was it the Swarm?
yes.
Okay. All right, so here's the thing. Everybody knows about the Swarm, but if you don't know about the Swarm, easy peasy. The Swarm is an evil Nazi scientist who was consumed by a swarm of bees, only to realize that his consciousness was transported into the swarm by cosmic radiation. He debuted in the Challengers of all comics, which is probably what doomed him from the start. Because if you debut for the.
Ooh.
Yeah, doomed. Based on that, what are you gonna do when your main villain starting out, or your main heroes starting out are Angel, Iceman, Ghost Rider, Hercules, and Black Widow? So
Good team.
here's the thing about swarms. Because he is the swarm, people always associate him with bees, because bees are in a swarm. Bees, however, are not the only thing that swarm. So my idea would be to evolve past bees and include any other creature or insect that also swarms. So my updated origin, the evil Doctor Nazi man, one of the last scientists of the Third Reich.
Give him his full title, please. You can't even give him his name.
I mean,
Mr.
Nazi
Nazi Man.
man.
he doesn't go by that name anymore. He doesn't recognize that name anymore. It's part of the
Okay.
origin. He was one of the
Oh,
last occult scientists of the Third Reich, obsessed with the theories of collective consciousness, insect telepathy, and swarm intelligence. After World War II, he vanished into the Amazon, where he merged with a colony of genetically altered bees, but that was only the beginning. While his human body died, his consciousness survived, not just in one swarm, but in any organism that behaves with swarm intelligence. Over the decades, his sentience has metasized, and he is no longer a Nazi ghost made of bees. He is now a living algorithm of swarm behaviors, a psychic infection that inhabits and controls any mass of creatures with hive-like behavior. So, what does that include? It includes insects like cockroaches, ants, wasps, locusts, and termites, aquatic swarms like jellyfish, piranhas, krill, and bait balls. Um, yes. Bird murmurations like starlings, sparrows, and pigeons. Rat hordes, bat colonies, crab migrations, etc. So pretty much, if there is a type of animal or insect that engages in some sort of a swarm behavior, the swarm can take it over. So
okay.
So yes. So
Is that
basically,
it? That's the end of it?
no,
That's the
no, no,
end of
no.
it.
This is what I'm saying. It's going on. So his
Okay.
physical body is an ever-shifting composite of whatever he controls. So one moment he could be made of cockroaches and rats. The next, he's a floating gelatinous column of jellyfish glowing in the Atlantic Ocean. In another, he is a fluid of grotesque. Basically, he's just constantly this shifting physical form made up of other living things. So when you think you've defeated him, his consciousness merely just moves on. Basically, he goes from something, because I think in the original Champions storyline, he he gets thrown off because they use some sort of a thing that makes the bees dissipate, leaving his skeleton behind. Not a problem anymore. Now he basically just his consciousness just moves on into the next nearby colony of something. So basically, swarms release pheromones or neurotoxins to force nearby living beings, animal or human, with an artificial hive-like obedience, and that's how he synchronizes his body into them. I was playing around with the idea because I've seen like AI be referred to as swarms of data, and I was like, oh, what if you could like transfer his consciousness into data? But I was like, that's too much. And then also there's like, oh, and like bacteria can have a like colony aspect, like colony behavioral mindset. But I think that would just make him too overpowered if the guy could suddenly turn into like put his consciousness into bacteria or AI. I feel like that would be too much. Because the AI is handled by Cyborg Superman already. Like that's the thing about his character. And ultimately, I do want a defeatable villain. I don't want him to be, yeah. So essentially, I've taken the Swarm, Nazi made of bees, and I've made him a living bioweapon and an environmental terrorist and existential threat because he no longer sees himself as a man. He has given himself over into the throes of nature. He is no longer even recognizing Nazi idealism or the Third Reich or anything. He is fully committed to this aspect of kind of the what's the word I'm thinking of here? Assimilation, becoming part of a greater whole. So instead of like just sticking to those weird archaic viewpoints of prejudice and racism, now he's like, no, human beings are the real problem here. I'm going to assimilate with all other living life, and we will drive the rest of it into an extinction level threat.
Okay.
So that is my idea. I do have a storyline pitch.
Okay.
This is ideally would be a storyline that would feature eco-terrorism against Captain America. The idea of the collective versus the individual identity, nationalism versus naturalism, memory, and the human soul. So those are the themes of the storyline we would be playing with as Captain America deals with um, this newly evolved threat of the Swarm.
Okay.
I can go into that in greater detail if you would like.
You have it there.
Hmm? Yeah,
You have it written down. You
yeah.
may as
I mean,
well,
it's
right?
a
Yep.
very
Yeah, let's
loose
hear it.
thing. I don't want to go too far into it. So pretty much the
Okay.
story starts with Captain America investigates a mysterious blackout in an airport in Berlin that has been overrun with birds, insects, and rodents acting with weird synchronicity, and people have been vanishing. There are no bodies left behind, and their like homes and dwellings have been turned into like nests for like rats or hives for like bees and such. Um, so basically, like Cap gets in touch with Shield, and they realize it is a continent-wide wave of synchronized swarm migrations. Basically, every major animal collective in Europe is shifting, and as they do, they are forming a shape. And ultimately, Captain America first has this confrontation with the swarm face to face, as the swarm is made up of sparrows and moths, basically informing him that the swarm that he knew is now over and done with. This is a swarm that is now connected to the very brutal um, live or die nature of nature itself, and that humanity's time has come and gone without a real threat, and he is there to force them to evolve or die. And I think I have it mapped out to like 5 issues. Uh,
Okay.
but essentially at one point it involves like the swarm like kind of spreading that influence and trying to slowly and surely begin to inhabit human minds using the same kind of like ultimately that's the goal, is to increase that swarm like behavior into humans and try to make composite versions of itself made up of masses of people instead. So it kind of gets a little Cronenberg body horror.
Okay.
But yeah, that is ultimately my pitch for the Swarm. Basically, amplify his powers to go beyond just bees. Thoughts?
John, what do you think? As a big fan of Swarmy.
I mean, this is an interesting idea. It's leveling Swarm up. It's taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Um, like I'm sad to see the bees get left behind,
Oh
but
no, they're still a part
They
of
can
it.
you
They're just
know,
not solely
come back.
bees.
Yeah.
I know. But
You sound so
yeah, it
dejected.
sounds like it.
I know.
I mean, I love bees.
Who doesn't love bees and who doesn't love Nazi scientists? Combine the two.
Hey,
Exactly.
he's leaving the Nazi mindset behind, realizing that there's more to be gained in the cold reality of man versus nature.
That's what we're saying. He's leaving the bees behind. He's leaving the Nazis behind. He's leaving his identity behind.
Well, because
What's he
he's
got
getting
left?
assimilated. He's becoming one of the all.
Exactly. He's forgot who he was.
He is.
You know.
It's the harsh
I
reality of
mean,
it.
it was good. It's a good way to like make Swarm seem a bigger threat because that's the whole point of today's episode is to make it seem like they're more legit than they are. I mean, if he's fighting Captain America, that seems like a step up.
The champions, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, pretty good. I dig it. Dig it.
Hell yeah.
All right, Dylan, you're up next.
Are we doing it in the order we picked him in?
That's how I wanted. That's how I started off. Is I went with Swarm because he was the first.
Okay, well then I'll do that. My first pick was a water wizard. I say that as if I picked it.
The wheel decided.
My first selection was the water wizard, who I was like, I picked him I picked him for the wheel because I thought this is a guy that I don't know dick about, but has a stupid name. So good luck whoever gets him. Ha ha ha. And then I got him. I had to look up what he did. He's called the water wizard. He was also known as Aqueduct, which I think is a better name than water wizard, but also when it comes to like in terms of like a super villain name, both of those are terrible.
Oh yeah.
Right? Aqueduct sounds cool, but means just a bridge that water goes
Yeah.
over. And water wizard is just one of the lamest names that you could
Makes
ever
it sound
come
like
up with.
he pisses on stuff.
Yeah, I'm the water wizard. But also, like when you break his powers down, he doesn't. The easiest way to describe water wizard's power is he's like hydro or he's like pyro, but for water. So pyro doesn't create fire; he manipulates fire. It's the same with water wizard. He doesn't create water, but if water is nearby, he can manipulate it. Great. So if he's not near water, he's fucking useless, right? Also, he can only really use his power for like half an hour before he gets mental fatigue.
Oh no.
So I'm like, great. As if he wasn't already shit. They're like, we got to make him shitter. This is.
Oh, he's starting to get a
He's not
headache.
just, yeah, this isn't gonna work, man. He's too bad. We need to make him worse. So obviously, because of all of this, Water Wizard. I'm gonna call him Aqueduct for this, just for fun.
Yeah.
But we can all call him Water Wizard because we know who that is. He, due to a lot of circumstances involving all of the stuff I just said, is feeling a little bit underwhelmed when it comes to how much of a villain he is and how he's seen in the villain community. So he comes up with a new plan that he's going to basically upgrade himself the way that Corey upgraded the Swarm. Aqueduct is going to upgrade himself. He gets together a lot of the biggest villainous scientists in Marvel to try and upgrade him. So he gets the Jackal, the Mad Thinker, the Tinkerer, Jonas Harrow, among others. Those are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. But let's go with them for now. And he talks to them all and says, "Listen, I've got a good idea. If you help me out now and make me more powerful, I will return the favor by giving you riches. I will be able to. I have a plan of what I want to do, and I will be able to get you gold and treasure and stuff, monetary stuff that a lot of you give a shit about." The Jackal doesn't really care about money, but the satisfaction of a job well done and the idea of causing mischief would appeal to the Jackal. So originally, Aqueduct gets all these guys together, and he says, "Here's my plan. If you can upgrade my powers, I'm going to give you riches, and I'll tell you how I'm going to go those riches. I'm going to invade Atlantis." And everybody's like, "You're gonna fight Namor? This might be the stupidest thing anybody's ever done." So they all go along with it. They all try to increase the power level of Water Wizard because they think if it works, we get riches, and if it doesn't work, Namor's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
So either
Oh well.
way, it's no big deal. We're grand, right? He's not gonna come after fucking Jonas Harrow over here. So they're like, that's fine. The Tinkerer designs a suit for him that allows him to like travel and breathe underwater for long periods of time. Because he can manipulate water, but he's still just a fucking guy, right? But if he's gonna go fight Namor, give him a good suit of armor that can help him like be in the water for a long time. The Mad Thinker and Jonas Harrow experiment on him to improve his limited manipulation powers and let him use the powers for a longer reach and for a longer period of time than half an hour because that's fucking useless, right? So now he can manipulate water and he can kind of like turn it like hard and soft and up and down. You know, he
Yeah.
can manipulate water. I don't have to explain what that means. You guys know what that means. Eventually, it's time for Aqueduct to invade Atlantis like a fucking idiot. He travels underwater to challenge Namor one on one, and he thinks no, who else would be brave enough to challenge Namor one on one? Very few people. Other people would say not brave, but fucking stupid. But he says, no, no, no. I'm gonna prove that I'm big time by going up against some of the biggest guys. That's smart when
Yep.
you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show you got guts, which I think we can all agree. Previously, Water Wizard didn't show any of. Right? Not the gutsiest of characters. So this is a big move for him. Obviously, Namor stands up to him, only to find out that Aqueduct can, because they're in the water, Aqueduct can now manipulate the water that surrounds them, and essentially like locks Namor in a water prison. He manipulates the water around Namor to like trap him in place, and he can't move. He just has to like stand there and focus on. Well, I say stand there. He's in the water, but like be there and like focus on Namor to like lock him in place or whatever for a while. While this is happening, a clone of Aqueduct made by the Jackal, because that's what he does. He makes clones. Clone of Aqueduct by the Jackal sneaks into Atlantis and starts stealing all the treasure. So you have one Aqueduct stealing treasure, one Aqueduct keeping Namor at bay. At some point, both Aqueducts are able to escape with the treasure and with the fact that they were able to humiliate Namor, who's fucking pissed about this, by the way. You don't know which of those Aqueducts is the real one, or if both of them are a clone, because that's another Jackal trait. You don't know. Clones out the wazoo, you know what I mean? And eventually, Namor is left free. The Aqueducts escape, and Namor is livid. He swears his revenge. He's like, "I'm gonna come after those guys." But to begin with, Aqueduct achieved his mission. He essentially held Namor to a standstill, and he stole all the treasure out of Atlantis. Which once that gets back to all the other villains, they're like, "That was pretty surprisingly badass for a guy that's called Water Wizard."
There you
That's
go.
my pitch.
Or aqueduct.
What?
Or aqueduct.
Yeah, Water Wizard, Aqueduct, whatever he wants to. Carl, whatever he wants to be called. You know what I mean? His name isn't Carl, but he can pretend it is. That's that one.
Can I tell you that I'm surprised that you meant this whole time without mentioning Hydro Man? Because I was going to ask
Yes.
if Aqueduct has the ability to control Hydro Man's body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, originally, I was trying to think of a way to put them together, but then I thought, I don't think that that's a good idea. I think it would be better if you keep them separate. Because as much as I love Hydro Man, he
Yeah.
also doesn't have a huge standing in the Marvel community. I think that putting two dumbass characters together who both have water-based powers is probably a losing battle. Although in a way it could work because one of them is like one of them manipulates water and the other one is water. Simple. It's like him having his own gun, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. But then I thought, no, that's not. What do you do? What's the story?
True.
Because if you take out one of them, you take out the other one, basically.
Well, I was thinking you could make Hydro
Mhm.
Man almost a sympathetic character because he was getting controlled against his will by Water Wizard, aka
Yeah.
Aqueduct.
But he's a villain. You don't want to turn him into a face. He's a pure villain.
No, I mean you don't necessarily have to. I mean the comics are full of villains who've been manipulated into doing terrible things. It doesn't make them heroes. It just makes them somewhat sympathetic.
Nah.
That's fair. No, I appreciate. I do. I think it's funny and ballsy to have a character who's like, yeah, I control water, to be like, I'm gonna go after fucking Namor.
I think the restraint I showed by not putting Hydro Man into
It
this,
does. It
like,
warrants a lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the idea of him going straight after Namor because like nobody else would do that.
No,
It's
no. I mean, it's
but
like
same
from
thing.
it's like what out of the fire and into the frying pan, or out of the frying pan into the fire, whichever
Yeah.
way that goes.
It's like why
The only
like it's
thing
like
is, it's like it's under the sea, so like not many people are gonna know about it.
but that's the thing. Once they go back to land with all the stuff they stole from Atlantis, there's like 5 people that know about it. Aqueduct knows about it, and then the 4 scientists that he gives the treasure to, they all know about it. And they have contacts in the criminal underworld. People go to the Tinkerer all the time for stuff. People go to Jonas Harrow. He can be like, dude, I got a load of money. Where'd you get the money from? Fucking Aqueduct stole loads of stuff from Atlantis. What? He can do that? Yeah, dude. He can work for you if you want.
There you
Word
go. A
spreads. Small community. You know what I mean?
little bit of business there.
It's all about the
Mm.
business. Yeah. Johnson's not convinced.
I mean, I think it's more of a good advert for the 5 scientists like coming together and pooling their resources than Water Wizard.
He came up with a plan and he did it. He was out there. Jackal wasn't out there. You know what I mean? He went up
Mm.
against Namor. I mean, yeah, he's gonna get his dick kicked in later, but the first time they fought,
Always, they have to. That's the point. We
first time
just
they fought, it was
what
pretty
we're
impressive.
doing is we're adding like a bit of time between for the bad moment
The
and the
dick
dick
kicking.
kicking. Exactly. We're extending that
You don't
period of
have
time.
to. We don't have to talk about that bit. We just talk about that was in the brief. The brief was try to make this guy a bigger deal.
Yeah,
Mission
Mhm.
accomplished. The downfall that'll come later.
it's coming. Don't
Don't
worry.
worry about that. Oh, it's coming. 100%. He's about to die.
Namor McKenzie isn't gonna allow somebody to punk him out in his own kingdom.
He's gonna
Oh
kill that
no.
guy in front of everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, John.
not gonna
It
be
is
pretty.
your turn. If we're
John's
keeping up with the
first
Who
character,
motif, was it Doctor Bong?
the
Yeah.
Doctor Bong. Doctor Bong.
Awesome. So yeah, Dr. Bong. For those who don't know, he's an awesome looking motherfucker with a big bell on his head. And he's got like I guess like a bonger as a left hand as well that he can use to like chime his bell. Um, Traditionally, he's like a Howard the Duck villain, which is kind of limiting, I guess, because Howard the Duck isn't exactly the biggest deal in the Marvel universe. So he's someone who's ripe for, uh, bumping up on the old villain stakes. Um, so some of the stuff that he can do, like I say, he's got that bulletproof helmet, which is bell shaped, and it has powers where if he times it a certain way, it can create an impenetrable sonic barrier around him. It can teleport him to wherever he wants to go, or he can even use it to like stun or even kill people as well. So his helmet is pretty powerful, but he's also a scientist with advanced knowledge of genetic engineering. And he's created this thing called an evolvo chamber, which he can use to make clones of people or transform animals into like another like species, like into a humanoid version, or
Like a
even
hippo, for example.
exactly, or even like take existing humans and give them like animal characteristics as well. So I figured, given his obvious scientific prowess, we should get into the clone business as well. Um, and I figure, no one suspects Dr. Bong of anything, so that makes it, it gives him a bit of an opening so he can kind of get in there and start cloning like the world's superheroes and basically replacing all the big names with his clones who are under his control. Um, and as for the originals, he could like either teleport them into some sort of specially designed like bell-shaped holding cell, or if they're too powerful and are likely to escape, just teleport them into the sun, because that's my that's my good old go-to.
It's not a bad go-to to have.
Works.
Yeah, and so the idea is he would just basically use his cloning technology, which I think he did use once in the storyline where he was like he created loads of Deadpool clones when Deadpool was part of the Secret Avengers, and ended up backfiring on him. But in this case, he's cloning all the like major heroes like Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, blah blah blah. He's replaced all of them. So yeah, so then once enough of them sort of his versions of those heroes, it like opens the door for him to basically take over the world. But then that would be like his hubris coming back to haunt him as well. So he thinks he's won the day because he's taken out all the biggest names in the superhero world, but then it'll be like a smaller hero that he wasn't expecting, that he didn't think was important enough to clone and replace, that is gonna like probably like a few of them like band together and save the day. But
Squirrel Girl.
yeah,
Great Lakes Avengers.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Someone of that ilk
Okay.
you wouldn't expect.
Interesting that you would make Doctor Bong teleport people into the sun. I mean, I don't think that any of us had that on our bingo card.
No, I certainly
I
did not.
mean, why not?
We just didn't expect it from that guy. That's our problem. We didn't treat him with enough respect. You know,
Exactly.
Put some respect on his name.
we didn't
You
think
will
he had it in
now.
him. You know, we were wrong. Boy, is our face red.
Yep,
You know?
Not as red as the guys who've been teleported into the sun.
melted off.
Yeah, they don't even have a face anymore. It's
Nope.
gone. No more face.
Hmm.
That's Doctor Bong. I remember reading him in like at Deadpool comics. I never read the Hard the Duck ones. That's where I got Doctor Bong from. He always seemed like a character that you're like, it is intriguing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's legs, there's stuff you could do with him.
It.
Absolutely.
He always felt like a character that would be almost more at home in the Tick than he would be in Marvel. Because like, I could see him
Yeah.
like
Yes,
lined up there with like
100%.
Chairface.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little off, isn't he?
It's a little off.
Yeah. Best way to put
But
it.
he's a fun one though. Like he's someone I'd love to see pop up in comics more.
We should bring him back. Whenever we work for Marvel, that's one of the guys we'll bring back.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Baby Juggernaut's got to start somewhere with an enemy.
That's something for you to look forward to, Marvel. That's why you should hire us. Baby Juggernaut, Dr. Bong. We're bringing back all the grades.
Yeah. I mean, we're already doing your
Spider
work
Man.
for you by making these characters more threats.
Yeah, don't steal these ideas though. We have to pay us.
We need the money.
Oh
John
God, we
has
need
so
that
many
money.
children.
Yeah, but some of them we
And
don't.
they're all criminally
really
insane as well.
Mm.
We did. There was a joke that we were going to put John's criminally insane children on the wheel, but ultimately decided against it.
Yeah,
All right.
that
Well,
would have been funny.
so my next one is the Hippo, and I was not the most excited about the Hippo because the research on the Hippo there wasn't a ton there.
Hmm.
Wait for Dylan to come back.
No, keep. I'll be back in a sec. I'm still listening. Keep talking.
Okay. So yeah, with the Hippo, what I could find out research wise about the Hippo was the Hippo debuted in Dark Reign Spider-Man as a character that the Mac Gargan Venom had eaten his leg, and he had been in group therapy with other villains that Venom had consumed parts of their body. And so they were forming a revenge team, and ultimately Hippo was eaten by Venom completely. But it's fine because then later on he was in an issue of like New Avengers, and Luke Cage and Ronan were beating him up, and there was no explanation as to how he was eaten. So the fact of the matter is that the hippo is a hippopotamus that was genetically altered by the high evolutionary, that pink prick, um, and basically found out that it's hard out there being a human, or a hippo human hybrid, because he had no human experience to draw upon. So my idea for the hippo was to draw on some real life experiences, not from myself, but for the how the American political system works. So
Okay.
the hippo is incarcerated in the Raft, the high security prison for supervillains and superpowered beings, right? But
Hmm.
see, the hippo, because he was never a man, the hippo was a hippo that had been genetically turned into a human hippo hybrid. He's going to draw on his natural hippo instincts. Hippos are creatures with a very high level of social intelligence, territorial strategy, and creative problem solving. This is all very true. So the hippo, during his time locked away, is going to lean into those experiences, and he's going to get his degree in political science and also law. And
Yes.
using that experience now and that newfound knowledge, the hippo is going to draw on the fact that the two types of hippopotamuses in the world, the common hippo is considered vulnerable on the endangered species list. So it is not endangered yet, but could very well become endangered. So the hippo's legal team that is granted to him because of the Miranda rights in the United States. The legal team is able to use that to help the hippo be free of incarceration, because again, it's a vulnerable species, and being detained in the raft could be seen as detrimental to his long-term health. So using this in his classification on the endangered species register, um, he makes the news because it's a big controversy that this majestic creature was turned into something that it had no intention of ever being by a villainous person, and then was punished because it was unable to adjust to human society, something he never was. So that's when the hippo becomes a political powerhouse in New York City. He builds a campaign, much like somebody else in American politics, that is largely built on fear mongering and populist rhetoric, and he has turned public prejudice against mutants and animal hybrids and marginalized groups into his gain. Much like how Donald Trump has made people in America believe that all rich, intelligent people are bad, even though he is from a wealthy background and a higher level of education. He's always been able to sidestep that by being a fucking moron. So that is exactly what the hippo has done. He has leveraged those real experiences of taking marginalized groups that he himself is technically a part of, but like making everybody go like, yeah, those people are terrible and evil and fearful, but I'm one of the good ones because I care about you. And the people of New York
Yeah.
fucking believe it because it's my story and they do. And so yes, he uses his Trump-like powers of political savvy to channel people's resentments, anxieties, and scapegoating into support, and positioning himself as the voice of the forgotten, a leader promising order through strength and control. But secretly, he is incredibly manipulative and is using all of this for his own short-term gain by having these people as pawns in his agenda. Because while he was in prison using that social intelligence that hippopotamuses have, he's able to figure out like, oh, you have to be corrupt and manipulative if you're to survive. So as a hippopotamus that needs to survive in my new surroundings, which is the concrete jungle that is New York City, I need to start manipulating people and fucking with them. So yes, he's almost like a kingpin-esque figure, except literally a hippo. Instead of just a big fat white guy, he's a big fat gray guy. So yes, he is charismatic and intimidating. He speaks calmly, but there's a level of fear there because again, hippopotamuses are responsible for 500 human deaths a year because of their territorial streak. They do not eat meat. They will fucking maul someone and kill them though if they believe they're encroaching on their territory, and that's what's gonna make him a threat in the New York City political structure because he's already staked out his claim, and much like the Kingpin, he is going to be very cutthroat about keeping his piece of the pie. So yeah, again, that's kind of the pitch on this is taking the real aspects of hippopotamus social structure and then applying it to a Marvel setting and some real life things where you're like, yeah, surely a bloated orange man couldn't, convince poor people that he's just like them despite being raised in the lap of luxury his entire life, draft dodging a war and then, basically bankrupting his way through opportunity after opportunity. Yet people still believe he's just like us. If a big fat white orange guy can do it, then there's no reason a big fat fucking hippopotamus can't.
You can't argue with
Oh,
that.
oh, what like political office is he gunning for?
I'm gonna say New York comp controller, because the mayor is
Aiming
already
high.
because mayor's already spoken for in Kingpin, and I'm not there yet. I'm not ready for the hippopotamus Kingpin turf war.
Happen at some point.
It's gonna happen. He's got to work his way up the ladder. You don't go straight from
Yeah.
nothing to mayor overnight, even though you can go from nothing to president somehow.
Well, that took a lot of years of nothing, to be fair.
Tons of years of nothing. Oh, 70 of them basically.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a
no.
lot of bank.
So this is my plot hook here. The Hippo's political machine starts a citywide crackdown on mutant communities, secretly fueling unrest to keep voters scared and compliant. Heroes like Daredevil or Spider-Man uncover that Hippo's corruption runs deeper than merely graft. He's systematically manipulating crime, law enforcement, and the media to control New York's underground and government alike while using the war on mutants as a front.
Where do you get your ideas from?
I don't know. There's a huge fucking protest happening over in California today where members of the press, both foreign and domestic, getting hit with rubber bullets by fucking LAPD because they're corrupt pieces of shit.
Not today, Corey.
No, a
It's
month ago.
July.
A month ago. I'm sure that all turned out well.
Yeah. Oh, but like LA's on fire right now. I'm like, oh, everything was fine.
This is the second time in our podcast history Los Angeles has been on fire. Oh, well, what are you going to do?
I thought this was the third time.
Could be. I mean, who knows what July will bring? Or June.
We know
August?
because we live in it. Yeah, exactly right. Who knows what August will bring?
Yep. By the way, I do want to point out that I think canonically the hippo's name is Mrs. Fluffy Lumpkins.
Yes.
So yeah,
Makes
Correct.
sense.
so yeah, he's going to also appeal to marginalized groups using that name as well.
Also, the fact that Mrs. Fluffy Lumpkins is now a male hippo person
Has
so
always been a
that's-
male hippo, apparently.
Oh, they just okay.
Yeah, for
Wow.
whatever everything I saw referred to the hippo by males.
I think that whole pitch that was really interesting.
Mm.
I was Dylan. I was struggling with this one until I was listening to the news today.
I find that one to be like the way you said it. I'm like, you know what? This is plausible. Out of how ridiculous it is.
That's sad.
they
It is
did this-
plausible.
If they did this with a hippo, you're like, if they wrote it like that, they'd be like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
know, like,
and then
you
you
could
you
do
have
that.
that weird thing as well. Like if Spider-Man goes to punch him, people will be like, "Spider-Man, he's a protected species. You can't."
Punch him, right? You know, I like that. I really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. It
Like,
definitely caught me by surprise.
like I
Mhm.
said, when I got the hippo, I was fucking dreading it, and then like for the last few days, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the hippo, because everything I kept like finding out about him would completely go against what I had thought of already. Because originally I was gonna go with like the old Swamp Thing method of like Swamp Thing, like Dr. Alec Holland died in the event that created Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's its own thing. I was gonna, because I was at this time I thought that the hippo was just a guy, and then I was like, oh nope, high evolutionary bullshit. It was just always a hippo.
Well, you know what that guy's like.
He's a dick, turning animals into
It's
people
one like
against their will.
crazy cat. The crazy cat was another one of his characters.
Oh, all right. Well, that's the hippo. Uh, we could probably get through your other two and do the other our final one as a lightning round. So if you want to do your the one that you think is like the best of the final two, and then we'll lightning round the others.
Well, I'm gonna do Jester next because I think Grizzly would be really quick to
Okay.
explain, but I really like the Grizzly one. So let me do the Jester real quick. Jester, by the way, I did this. I finished it like 2 hours ago. So Jester is very depressed, or the pun.
Well done.
Um, thank you. The laughter really helped. I gotta say. Uh, he's very depressed. Because nobody takes him seriously as a villain. You know, he doesn't have any clout in the villain community. His wife is now his ex-wife because she doesn't respect him either, and she moved on, and she's moved away out of his life, and also she took his car. Also, his goldfish, Sydney Blubberkins, has died, and his to add insult to injury, his mother is very sick, and he can't afford the medical bills. So that's a real, like, the goldfish bit was a joke, but the mother thing is a real bit. Like, he can't afford to get his mother the surgery she needs because he's not a very good villain. But the only thing he knows how to do is be a fucking jester. So he's having a very bad time. And he needs a miracle to help him earn the money he needs for his mother. He tries to rob a bank dressed up as a jester, of course, but nobody takes him seriously. The bank tellers laugh at him, and the security guy throwing him out on the street. He feels very depressed. Again, he's like, what do I do? How do I get ahead in this game? Like, he starts to become very desperate. You can see that he's very, like, it's starting to get to him. He starts to behave much more erratically. He loses his home because he can't pay his bills. So he's just a homeless vagrant out in the street, like yelling at people, but he's still dressed as a jester. And what happens a lot now is that sometimes he'll do like a local TV, you know, local madman, this guy, and they film him for jokes. And then people realize, like people on TikTok realize, hey, we can get like easy views with this. So they'll like come down to the jester and like film themselves interviewing him or whatever, just to see the mad stuff that he says. And he's always rambling and being weird. And eventually he threatens to do something incredibly drastic to change his fortunes. When Peter Parker sees this on TV, I don't like the sound of doing something incredibly drastic. That sounds like bad news. So he starts to keep an eye on the jester and what he's up to. More TikTok influencers start to come down and interview him, and they're like live streaming and filming him on the street and talking to him, and just to hear the weird stuff that he says. And at some point, the jester gets really like agitated and angry, and he announces on a live stream on TikTok that he has a new plan. Whenever he said he was going to do something desperate and something to change his fortunes, the thing that he's going to do is he's literally going to summon the devil himself. Next Sunday, he's going to raise the devil. He's going to pentagram, summon a demon, and change his fortunes. So obviously, all the TikTok guys are laughing about this, and they're like, "Okay, next Sunday, great, we'll be there. We'll film it." Peter Parker sees this or hears about this and is like, "I gotta stop this shit. This is crazy." So Sunday comes. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, finds the jester in like an alleyway. He's drawn a pentagram on the floor of the alley with chalk or whatever the fuck they draw it with, blood, marker. I don't know. He draws a pentagram. All the TikTok guys are there. They're live streaming this. They're filming it all. Because they're like, how think of the views. If we can see a fucking demon come out, great views. But at the same time, think of the views if we watch this guy get the shit kicked out of him by Spider-Man. Either way, it's a victory for the TikTok guy. So like, there's like 5-6 cameras like live streaming Peter Parker. Well, live streaming Spider-Man and the Jester. Spider-Man tries to talk tries to talk reason with the Jester, and he just starts to break down and cry and is like, "My life sucks. You have no idea, Spider-Man. You have no idea how sucky my life is, Spider-Man. Whatever your life is, it's probably great. You have no idea what it's like to have everything taken away from you. You have no idea what it's like for your wife to leave you. You have no idea what it's like to have a sick relative where the only option that you have is to make a literal deal with the devil to save her." Spider-Man's like,
Mm.
he's like, please. He can obviously he can't say, dude, I know all of that shit like the back of my hand. But he's like, listen, please, do not make a deal with the devil. Don't do this. It's not gonna work. And Jester gets more agitated. He's like, if the roles were reversed, because you're the good guy and I'm the bad guy. If you're the good guy and your mother was sick, you made a deal with the devil, you get away with it. But I don't get away with it because I'm not the good guy. I'm not the successful guy. I'm just the miserable Joker. It's not fair. There's a double standard here, and I'm going to change everything by making that deal with Mephisto. I'm going to save my mother, and I'm going to give myself unlimited powers at the same time. I'm going to make this deal with the devil, and I'm going to make everybody fear the Jester. Spider-Man tells him, dude, this is a really bad idea. Just believe me. Making a deal with the Mephisto is not the way you want to run your life. It's going to be miserable. It'll make your life miserable. He'll fuck you over. This is a terrible, terrible idea. Jester tells him to go to hell because that's a funny bit as well. And then he's like, whatever, I'm going to start doing the spell. He tries to like start doing the pentagram. Spider-Man tackles him and they have a little tussle and they're like fighting before the Jester just like starts to laugh maniacally. And Spider-Man's like, what's going on here? And the Jester's like, I got you. Ah, you're pranked. Spider-Man's like, what? All the TikTok guys are watching this. And the Jester's like, I pranked you. You fell for the oldest trick in the book. You thought I was going to raise the devil. What kind of fucking idiot makes a deal with the kidding me? You fucking kidding? Look at me. I'm a fucking Jester. I play pranks on people, and you just got pranked, buddy, and everybody's seen it. It's all over the world, Buster. Oh, I'm the master of japes, and you fell for the biggest one of all. The TikTok guys are going mental. They're like, this is gold. We just saw Spider-Man get punked out with a fucking Jester. This rips. So Spider-Man is like, you did all of this. You did like weeks of like you pretending to be homeless and this weird TikTok shit. You did this for weeks just to make me look like an idiot. The Jester's like, yep. So Spider-Man punches him in the face, knocks him out. TikTok guys are having a great time with this. Spider-Man takes the Jester, has him institutionalized in a mental hospital. At some point, Spider-Man in the costume, obviously, he can't just turn up as Peter Parker. Spider-Man turns up just to see how the Jester is doing. Jester just starts laughing in his face. And Spider-Man is like, okay, this guy is delusional. This is the best place for him. You know, all that shit was a lie. And he leaves. And then as we leave, we see a close-up of the Jester as he says an incredibly old cliche line, but it is pretty appropriate, where he says, the best trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist, and his eyes glow red.
Ooh.
And that's the end of the comic.
Nice.
Yeah, I got you.
That's a good one.
I got you. That took a while, but I'm very pleased with it.
Yeah, a lot of
It's really
twists
good.
and turns in that one.
Twisty turns, yeah. So I think that's probably the best one that I wrote.
Well, and then there's that potential for that devil-powered Jester to turn up elsewhere and do other things. So you've introduced it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even the big bit. Like from these issues, you're like, it's gonna get big. So already you're like, he's a big level threat now. You're like, whoa, this is. We haven't even got to the big bit yet, So I like that one. I thought that was pretty good. All right, the silence is very encouraging.
No, it was good. I really did like you put a lot of thought into that, and that was really clever. I really like the whole sad clown thing. I was kind of like I was almost expecting it to. So they DC introduced this Green Lantern villain called the Sorrow recently, or the Sorrow Lantern, and like basically like he's a newer lantern, like a new part of the spectrum that induces great sadness and feeds off of people's sadness. And that's almost where I thought you were gonna go with that. Was basically do like the old Pagliacci's clown bit, but it was like, oh, it's a jester, but instead of like making people maniacally sad, it makes people just like drown themselves with pity for him.
Yeah. Well, he is an incredibly tragic character.
He is.
Well, with him being so pathetic. Also, I realized that like the jester is like maybe dead.
I think there's been a
Oh.
couple of jesters.
There were two jesters, and both of them had died at some point. So I'm like, that's
Well, like I told you, Hippo was
perfect.
Hippo was eaten by Venom and then was uneaten somehow with his legs back. So I don't know what happened there, but
Not important. Not
it's
important.
comics. What are you gonna do?
Not
John,
much.
what's your second one, and then we'll jump into the lightning round.
I guess my second one is Stiltman.
Classic.
Okay.
Yes. Originally a Daredevil villain, Wilbur Day was a scientist who worked for a guy called Carl Caxton, who was an inventor of this hydraulic ram device. So Wilbur stole his designs and then put them into metal legs as part of like an armored battle suit, so he could go and perform robberies. But like the main gimmick is basically the suit makes him very, very tall, which, I don't know how that's supposed to, help his criminal career, but there you go.
He just wears
Um, he's like upgraded the armor over the years. So it's like made out of secondary adamantium, not the good stuff, but like, the next stuff down. The legs can extend up to 290 feet, and they're coated with this adhesive resistant silicone as well. So, Spider-Man can't really web him or anything. So in theory, like, he's kind of maxed out his powers a little bit, but he's still a bit of a joke.
That's the max of his powers, and like that's
Makes
still
himself
pretty
taller.
low down the benchmark. Yeah.
Yeah,
And can't stick stuff to the legs. What do you think?
there you go. I mean, how has he not conquered the world at this point? But yeah, he got killed by Punisher during, I think, Civil War or around that sort of time. But then got brought back to life as a clone during the whole clone conspiracy. Was it clone conspiracy? I can't remember what it was called. The one where
Yeah.
Ben was the Jackal, and yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, so my thought was he's been doing it wrong all these years. Like, the stilts idea is just garbage. Like, it doesn't work. We need to find a new kind of use for this hydraulic ram device, because in theory that's pretty good going. That's like something he can work with. You could put it into maybe some sort of like gun or cannon or something, and use it to like break through bank vaults to get the money and stuff like that. Or my idea was to put it into an airship, which we're going to call the Rumpelstiltsship.
Okay. All right. Great. Go on.
And yeah, so basically he's just like, rather than being out and about and like, exposed and like really obvious, he's going to be in his Rumpelstiltsship, and just like with a hydraulic like sort of crusher, like you get at building sites and stuff, and just using that to like fucking smash superheroes and stuff, rather than trying to slowly get away with giant footsteps. So,
Yeah,
yeah, he's like taking a more proactive, like murderous stance now,
Okay.
and yeah, and just going about murdering heroes to try and build up his street rep.
You make a good point about if he's Stiltman, like when he was Stiltman, when he's getting away, everybody can see him.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the direct opposite of what you want if you're a criminal. It's like, cops, I'm over here.
exactly.
It's a terrible idea.
this is just 20-foot tall silver asshole walking down the street very cautiously.
I think the best thing about Stiltman, like, is just like wall to wall. It's a bad idea.
Yes.
Like
Hmm.
all of it's a terrible idea. You
Yeah.
know, the name, the costume, the use of the thing. Like, what the fuck is making yourself tall gonna do? You know?
And yet it's inspired like copycats as well. He's had when Wilbur died, there was like I think at least one, maybe two more male Stiltmen who took over, and then there was a lady Stiltman as well who
I remember Lady Stiltman, yeah.
also like what
Lady
the hell? I
Stiltman,
mean,
you would think you could probably tweak the name a bit.
maybe.
Stilt Lady.
Lady Man.
I mean,
Yeah, still
uh,
lady.
I'm not sure the branding is helping her there, the Stiltman branding, but you
Right,
know,
right. She's obviously an idiot because she's decided to emulate the Stiltman. So whatever her name is gonna be terrible anyway. Let's,
yeah.
cut her some slack there. I like the idea of the blimp. Like that's
Hmm.
he needs that upgrade. He does, and
Exactly.
it gives him that kind of like that up, high class kind of thing. If he's got his own escape vehicle, I think that's pretty
Yeah.
class. Yeah, I dig it. I dig
Eh,
it.
He's a lot more offensive, like minded now, rather than just trying to steal stuff and get away or whatever.
He's like killing villains now or heroes, so like he's like proactive, like trying to kill people. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's had that murder streak before in the comics, but
I
it's
don't
about
think
time that
so.
he developed it.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Well,
Corey
uh,
seems intrigued.
well, I was gonna say, we have about hit the hour mark, so we're gonna do our last ones in a very quick lightning round style. So pretty much just who it is, what you're changing, and going for it. Sound good?
Mm. Mine's
Hmm.
gonna be mine's gonna take forever.
All right. Well, I'll go first. My third one was Metalhead. Metalhead was a character that showed up in an issue of he was either Detective Comics or Batman in the 1970s. He is a dude in a metal suit that is covered in spikes, and he has like a bladed whip on top of his head. He was like a crony for Black Mask that went a couple of rounds of Batman and ultimately lost, and I don't think was ever seen again. My improvement, liquid metal, make him the T1000. And that's my pitch.
Wow,
Perfect.
boy, you went through that real quick.
I told you, real quick, lightning round.
He's literally Metal Man.
Yep, liquid metal.
Okay. I don't know if I can make mine that quick. But I got the Grizzly. Grizzly started off life as a wrestler. He worked for the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation. That's the popular wrestling federation in Marvel Comics. But J. Jonah Jameson ran an article about how violent he was and how he would use a lot of underhanded tactics and violence to really destroy his opponents. And that ruined his life. J. Jonah Jameson loves ruining people's lives. So the Grizzly ended up getting fitted with an exoskeleton of an actual grizzly bear that he would wear and use that for a life of crime, and lost to Spider-Man a bunch of times. So my way to try to rehabilitate the man dressed like a bear who used to be a pro wrestler is that time has passed since he once lost his job as a pro wrestler. It's now 2025, and he starts up his own wrestling company to rival the UCWF, which is more about violence. You realize that the climate in professional wrestling has changed significantly, and people, Corey's ahead of me, that people like a lot more violence. People like it when they see somebody getting choked to death with a plastic bag. They like that kind of realism to their violence. And the Grizzly realizes that once upon a time in the 80s, I was vilified for this, but now with TikTok and the internet and people's attention spans, they crave this violence. So he starts up his own company and he realizes that under the pretense of pro wrestling, he can do whatever he wants because the precedent is there. If he wants to choke a guy with a plastic bag, he can. If he wants to hit them with like light tubes and stab them with a screwdriver and cut them up with glass, he can do that because under the weird rules of pro wrestling, that's allowed. And if somebody goes, that's not allowed, you can go, yes, it is because it's fake, so it's not real violence. And B, the other guy in the match knew what was happening and signed up for it and willingly said that this was okay. So in no way is he, to be held accountable for any of the violence that happens in his ring. And so he just lets out all the anger that he's had built up in him for 30 years and just beats the shit out of people live on television and makes so much money in merchandise. He gets people, criminals, to invest in his company to set it up. They launder their money, put it into the company. That money comes back to them in terms of ticket sales and merchandise. They're happy. They're getting their money back. Grizzly's happy because his company's making money. They're wild on the internet. He's suddenly becoming a big deal. Other criminals see him being a vicious man and think that's a good bodyguard to have. This guy, he'll beat the shit out of anybody. He doesn't mind. He's violent. Lower level criminals are like, stay away from that guy. He's a grizzly. He'll fucking kill you. Spider-Man is like, I gotta stop him. I'm gonna enter your tournament and beat you up. Grizzly's like, I'm not having it. No superhuman superheroes allowed. Supervillains, come on in. I'll beat them up, sure. But superheroes always screw stuff up. You're not allowed. Go to the other wrestling company. I'm not having that. This is for the sickos. You guys ain't the sickos. These are the good guys. Spider-Man tries to appeal to Grizzly's kind of like identity by saying, hey man, wouldn't you love the ability to legally beat up Spider-Man in the middle of the ring? But Grizzly's like, I might be stupid. I'm not that stupid. I'm not falling for it. So now Spider-Man has to sit back and watch as the Grizzly becomes just this crazy violent character legally. He can do nothing about it because of the crazy world of pro wrestling. He just has to sit there and watch the Grizzly become a huge violent star. A star by beating up other people. And thereby he gets jobs as an enforcer, a bodyguard with other high level criminals. So that was the Grizzly one. That was the easiest one to write, like by far.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just came to me somehow.
He's like stapling people's tongues,
I was trying to
stabbing
be
them
like,
with hypodermic needles.
Yeah.
what? Like I was trying to be like, what's a good name for his company? Like the Alternative Entertainment Wrestling Company, you know? Trying to like, it's something like that, maybe, you know?
Yeah. I do like that. It's like, well, I'm just gonna enter your tournament. No, you won't. I will not allow it.
Spider-Man. There's no way Spider-Man's gonna be allowed into the tournament. You know? But then Peter Parker wouldn't be allowed in either because like why is Peter Parker suddenly beating the shit out of a guy stronger than him?
There you go.
Doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
There you go.
There you go. Always bringing it
There you
back
go.
to wrestling one way or another. We'll get there.
Smark Avengers, dude. If I can't book the Grizzly in a pro wrestling storyline, then but it's all for nothing.
There you go.
I've wasted my life. You know what I mean? This is literally the only thing I know anything about.
All right, John, this is your last guy. Who you got?
I got Zebra Man.
Delivered like Charlie Brown on Halloween. I got a rock.
Good luck.
I mean, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this guy? He is well, there's been 4 versions of this character, I believe.
Can I tell you that's the
Original was
part that
like a
blows me
scientist.
away? That there's been 4 people. 3 other people were like, Well, that Zebra Man identity is up for grabs.
Right, like you were
Yeah.
like, Zebraman, this is the worst guy in the world. 4 people thought that was a great idea.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, there were only 2 kangaroos.
You were saying, John?
Too many.
Come on.
So yeah, the original Zebraman was a scientist who made a machine which allowed him to attract and repel literally anything. He referred to it as diamagnetism, where he could like push over objects or push people back or push through walls and doors and stuff, or alternatively like make jewelry or whatever like come to him. So yeah, that was his original powers. Over the years, it's sort of become more of a force field based power. Like certainly in the most recent like appearances of Zebraman in the DC comics, he's basically been employed to like protect other people basically. So yeah, obviously that's a pretty good defensive power rather than offensive, but it's not that good when it comes to actual villainy. But I figure, maybe that's something we can play with because his force fields are strong enough to kind of like allow him to travel underwater in like a little air pocket. Um, so if it's powerful enough to like hold back the ocean around him, then why can't he make them or put them to use to kind of use that power to kind of crush things, getting back to crushing stuff again. So I figured, like, yeah, why not, put a force field around the president's head and say, I demand $1 billion or I'm going to crush the president's head. Or if he wanted to, like, really make a name for himself, he could put Batman in a force field and just like crush him into a ball. And then, he could say, I killed Batman. And everyone would be like, holy shit, Zebra Man. He's pretty good. And that's it.
That's a fair point though. Like if a guy can do that against Batman, why doesn't he just do that against Batman?
Exactly.
Right?
Limited vision for
I
himself.
mean, yeah, you got to think outside the box with these things.
Yep.
I think outside the
That's
bun.
what I mean. I think that's part of the problem with these villains is that like limited intelligence seems to be a theme with a lot of these guys. Like Stiltman, the Hippo. See, the Hippo is an excuse.
He was
He
literally
used to be a Hippo.
hippopotamus. Yeah.
Fair enough. Stiltman, come on, dude. Zaberman, like
Water wizard. I mean,
you
it seems like a lot of people are like, I have gained these abilities that while they're not as impressive as other people's, it's still better than 99% of humanity. And like, I'm just gonna use it for petty crime.
yeah, or nothing else. Like
Limited
what else can I
vision.
do with it? Yeah. I think so. I think that's a problem with a lot of the villains that we had. We might have been projecting like way too many smarts onto it.
Hey,
You know,
shoot for the
Mm.
moon. Even if you miss, you'll be in the stars or whatever.
close to the moon.
You'll be
Yeah,
closer to the moon than you were previously.
you'd be in space where you can't breathe, you die. So, great. I think that was. I think we did a great job. I think we really like nailed on these
I think
villains.
we did too. I think we did too. So if you have any thoughts on our interpretations of how we can improve these villains, or if you had an idea that ran opposed to that, or if you have other villains you think we should look into, leave a comment, hit the
Who do you
bell,
think was the
subscribe.
best?
Oh, who do you think is the best?
Yes, do all that shit. Who do you think it was the best? And then also the subscribe thing, and then share it around and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, write down who you think was the best one. It was me.
You know who is probably the best at watching movies amongst us? John. John, how many movies have you watched so far this year?
Oh, I am now up to 483.
You know, you are going you if you keep at this pace, considering You will probably hit 1,000 at this pace. I know you're probably going to slow down though because festival season's coming up.
Yeah, yeah. I've been going a bit overboard the last couple of weeks or so. Like, I think the last time I recorded with you guys, I was on 400, and that was what, like 2 weeks ago? So
Probably
I've watched a lot of movies
100
in that
episodes in
time, but
two
like you
weeks.
say, yeah, um, yeah, it's gonna slow down in the next month or two. But a
So,
good base. There's a chance I could hit 1,000.
what was the last one you watched?
Oh, it was the last Airbender.
The M.
Fucking
Night,
dreadful.
the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Just the worst dialogue, the worst acting. It was, oh my God, it was awful.
Well, if you want to hear some
What was
more,
the twist at the end?
oh yeah, what was the twist at the end?
The twist at the end was there was like the main bad guy's daughter appeared, and then apparently she's something, but like if you don't know like TV series, it was like, who is this girl? I don't know her. And it's setting up for a sequel which never happened. So it was like, well, okay. It's not much of a twist, and it's not much of a tease either. So good job.
Yep, great stuff.
There you go. Well, if you want to see more in-depth looks at that movie and other movies that John has watched, because if I know John is a writer, he's probably posted some pretty detailed reviews of what he liked and what he didn't like. John, where can they find those reviews?
They can find them on Letterboxd at Big John Bowski, all one word.
And Dylan, tell everybody what you get up to one night a week from 9 to 11.
Wow. Some nights I'm not allowed to tell you what I do, but I assume you mean on Monday nights
Yes.
at 9 to 11. I do a radio show where I play a lot of fun music that I like, that evidently not everybody likes, according to fan feedback. But I play a lot of fun stuff. I play a lot of like grungy music and just whatever I like. It's a lot of fun. It's available online wherever you are in the world. If you go to www.bounce.digitalradio.co.uk, you can watch it in your web browser. You can listen to it wherever you are in the world. We'll probably put a wee link in the description. I played bands like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Jane's Addiction, Soundgarden, Blind Melon, David Bowie, Kate Bush, Blur, so many like just stuff. And then there'll be bands that I find that you probably haven't heard before. That might be a surprise. I played one recently called Caligula's Horse, which I love the name of that band. Like that's just fantastic. Um, so there's a lot of like stuff you might not have heard before, which I like to share with people. So if you like music of all genres, except like recent shitty pop music, then come listen to my show. It's really good. The links is in the description, I think. Maybe.
It will
I
be.
think.
Yep.
I think.
Yep. It's been there. Don't worry. And as for me, I have my other show, Large Old Cup. It's every Saturday morning on Spotify, but you just have to subscribe and it'll download automatically and you can listen to it at your leisure. It's 29 minutes. That's usually kind of a stream of consciousness where I don't know what I'm going to talk about until we get started. It's always surprising and stuff. Anyway, that'll do us for today. Our next episode, we're going to start our celebration of the Fantastic Four in honor of the upcoming Fantastic Four movies that are, Fantastic Four
Upcoming.
movie that's upcoming. So
Mm-hmm.
we will be talking about the releases of the 2000s and the 2010 Fantastic Four movie, and then we'll have something special lined up for the week after. I know I am excited as somebody who enjoyed the Fantastic Four as a child.
We're gonna be doing the TV show.
We're gonna do the cartoon.
Yeah.
There've been two cartoons.
Was there?
There was one in the 2000s that was kind of like almost anime looking.
Oh,
Yeah, it was on Cartoon Network, I think. I
I
think it was
remember
called
that one.
like, yeah,
All right.
Earth's Greatest Heroes or something. But anyway, regardless, we'll be talking about the Fantastic Four next week. Until then, though, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.